Man, yes, a strong man.
Integrity man. I am a man. Greetings and salutations to the man them from Moran Point to Nick Grill. So can you imagine November 8th already? And November is recognized as Men's Health Month. Men are often expected to be the breadwinners and to be strong, dominant, and in control. While these aren't inherently bad things, they can make it harder for men to reach out for help and sometimes to open up. We know that gender stereotypes about women, especially the idea that they should behave or look a certain way, for example, can be damaging to them. But it's important, very important to understand that stereotypes and expectations can also damage men. So let's dive into these things. But first, let us talk. By the way, this is the program designed for men with guests who are men, hosted by men, and it's aired every Wednesday, unless it's a holiday, at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. It is the mailbox. And by the way, I'm Kevin Bailey and my co-host right there, Courtney.
Good evening, good afternoon, sorry, to all those listening now, to all our listeners. And thank you for making it Love 101, the family, making it your station of choice. It is the family station. Indeed, all that you just say is so true, Kevin. Some of these stereotypes, really, man don't cry, man must be strong. We probably have to redefine the word strength. Um, One person, I think I saw them saying, don't tell persons that strength is about holding back the tears and not crying. Strength is about actually letting those tears out in front of others and letting them see that you are also human. So we need to think about these things. We're talking about men and the mental health today and stereotypes. Um, what is it that affects our men in terms of their emotions and mental capacity? And so some of those things are the things we're going to be discussing today, Kev.
Definitely want to underscore what you're saying. As men, and Kevin and Courtney, we cry, we express our full emotions, and we believe that all boys and men should be allowed a safe space to grieve when they're grieving, to show expressions of joy when they're happy, when they're anxious, when they're fearful, the full range of emotions. Well, this afternoon, we're going to have a very special guest. Our guest this evening is Jason Brown. Jason Brown
Yay.
is a man on a mission, a purpose driven and motivated education change agent. He is a leader, innovator, and forward thinker in the field of education and management, acknowledged as a three-time shortlisted nominee for the Prime Minister's National Youth Award for Excellence, big thing, in leadership and youth development. Jason is the holder of a master's degree, education degree in educational administration, and a bachelor of education degree in information technology and computer science with honors. Jason has moved through the ranks in the educational arena: teacher, year supervisor, robotics faculty advisor, to program and curriculum management, and lecturing at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean. He currently operates as the director of the SOS Children's Village in Stony Hill and the project manager for One-on-One Educational Services Limited. I want to let our listeners know that Jason is the organizer of Hashtag Secure the Job JA, a youth development movement aimed at equipping young minds with the key tools to secure the job of their dreams. Philanthropically, is a part of the Christian-based non-profit organization Live to Give Jamaica, where he strongly believes in giving back to the community and Jamaica at large. He also collaborates with his local church on various community-driven initiatives. His drive comes from the mantra, there are lives to be touched, the work never ends. Ah, very, very fulsome person. Jason, great to have
Sir
you.
Kevin, Sir Courtney, what's up? I'm back. I'm back.
You
It's
are
good
back.
to have you back, sir. It's good to have you
Thank
back.
you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. How
Fully
you doing?
bearded and all, and bald
Trust me, the
headed at the
beard is
same
here to
time.
stay. Yeah. So how are you guys? What's up?
We're doing
Hey,
well.
Jason, it's good to have you. You know what we're here about today, talking about mental health. We're
Yes.
looking. November is about um, men's health, something that I think is overlooked, something that I think sometimes is sidestepped. And we really want to talk about it today. But just before we get into that, we just want to say to persons, remember, we're live on Facebook and YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. Remember, you can leave your comments via WhatsApp line at 876-997-3125. Men and their mental health is something that is really serious. Plus, the 19th of November is International Men's Day. I'm making certain it's out there loud and clear
Of
from
course.
no,
Yes.
because we seem to be a forgotten gender when it comes on to some things. But it's good to have you. It's good to have you with us today. It's always an exciting time just speaking with you. Trust me, bro.
Thank you, Sir Courtney. Thank you.
No, it is our pleasure, and I'm sure our listeners will be listening, actively listening, and participating in this program. November is a great month. It's the month that my wife was born. So tomorrow actually is her birthday. So I want to say on this program, happy birthday to my wife, Muriel Elizabeth Bailey.
All right.
The
Happy
most,
birthday.
Birthday, Muriel.
I tell
Happy
you.
birthday, Mrs. Bailey.
So it is wonderful, wonderful. Can you imagine, according to World Health Organization, your mental health is significant, is a state of well-being in which an individual can realize his or her full potential, can manage the normal stresses of life, and can be productive and fruitful and make a meaningful contribution to his community. And every time I read that definition, Jason and Courtney, it reminds me of Genesis, the beginning, be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, dominate it. No, it's just amazing. I'm taking it from the scripture, but that's the definition of good mental health according to the World Health Organization. So, ladies, what una say? Talk to us. Do you value mental health? You can participate in the program by leaving us a message via WhatsApp, Facebook, YouTube. Females, remember, no calls or voice notes allowed, but encourage the man them to do the calling, and you can participate by interacting on the different social media platforms. Courtney, what you say? A shout out time?
Shout out time, yes, boss. Shout out time, big shout out. After 3, we'll give our shout out. And you don't know, sir, what we shout out is Monday.
Yeah.
3 big Mondays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are we shouting out to all the other men in the world today? And also to the ladies to just big up the men themselves. If a man is beside you, just shout out and say, Monday. Monday. So after 3, 1, 2, 3. Monday!
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Man in the place.
That
Man
is
in
it.
the place.
That is it.
Yeah, so Courtney, before we head into the main discussion, it is now time for us to get into the segment, and we dub it draft. What is your thing of draft, Courtney? Let us know.
It says
Yeah.
direct response for the featured theme. That's what I open up that abbreviation draft to mean. That before we head into the fullness of what we're doing, we want to talk a little bit to Jason about himself, what he's about, and just get an opening statement from you on the issue of men's mental health. Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself. Although we have read so much about you, you look like a very, 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 very young man. And I mean, it must be a privilege and an honor to be the guest to be speaking to us about mental health.
Wow.
Talk to us. Do men handle depression well? How do they go about handling it?
All right, so let me start. Firstly, I'm Jason Brown again. I am 30 years old, so I'm pretty young.
Yeah.
Did you
I'm
say
like
13 or 30? Because you don't look 30 to
13
me.
with a beard, Courtney, come on. I am 30 years and what? almost 11 months. I'm going to be
Well done.
31
Well
next
done.
month in December.
Wow.
I like to dub myself a man on a mission, meaning I tend to operate in purpose. So what God has set up for me to do, I always want to ensure that I'm doing just that. So everything I do is intentional, from working where I work to the jobs I take on. Whatever I do, I stay where I go. I always see at this stage in my life, I seek to be aligned so that I reap what is mine in the best way possible. I love children. I love working with young persons. My family is amazing. My friends are amazing. I just love to live life and enjoy life as best as I can. We can go as far back as I found out for the first time about this topic of mental health. I would say about 2019 when I was going through my own bout of life. Not so much at that time understanding what was happening, but the effect it had on me at that time led me to want to do a little bit more introspective work and upfront work to find out why I was seemingly stuck in a bad space
Mhm.
mentally. Not just for the fact that bad things would have been happening at the time. From my perspective, I just did not know how to cope. And then not knowing how to cope with those experiences led to other experiences because you're in a vulnerable state where you just where you're in your thoughts, you seem to attract all bad and negative. It's like opening up the wound to have like a pity party without understanding what's going on. So in 2019, I would have walked off of a job that I would have um, called toxic for various reasons. And I had my degrees, I had experiences, I knew people. So the expectation was, Courtney and Kevin, you leave a job, being young, you're going to go into another job. That was not my case. So I spent the about half of 2019 unemployed. So I am a man, with bills. I have things to do, my obligations, and I had no source of income. And as a man, I had to lean on my family
So
to help.
why 6 months without working, Jason? What was happening? You weren't looking.
Kevin, nothing was happening. I applied. I did interviews. I got callbacks, but nothing happened after that.
Yeah.
As in where I am now, I understand the process, but then I could not have.
Mm.
And that would have played a part of my mental breakdown at that time.
Mhm.
Not like a full-on public breakdown, but my mental state was
Yeah.
not in the right place.
Mhm.
And the other thing was I would have developed a sense of independence having worked for so many years and owning things and building things and doing things on my own, having to look to my father and my mother to support me
Wow.
with all of my financial obligations. It set me back to my younger days. I'm sure my parents would not have complained, and up to this day, they have not complained. Bless my parents, they're probably watching online now, mom and dad, thank you. They would have never once complained about helping me. But in myself as a man, I felt that I should not have been receiving that sort of help.
Mhm.
Misconception. But all of that would have played a part in things like thinking less of yourself. And that is where imposter syndrome comes into play because you're qualified, you're applying, you're doing things, but obviously persons are seeing a fault or persons are not pursuing what you would have thought would have been a good pursuer. And then we can speak about the thoughts of taking your life, not wanting to see persons, not wanting to leave your room. I can recall not leaving my room for days,
Mm.
not going anywhere, not being able to function, no phone, nothing brought joy because I was just wallowing in an area of self-pity, all because I did not know how to healthily express my emotions because I did not feel like it was my place as a man to be actively speaking about my emotions. I would have expected, you handle it, you take it, you bear it, you handle it, and you go through. So that
Wow.
would have been, yeah.
I tell you, thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable, and which
Yeah.
is really something that all of us need to hear, and men specifically, women as well, to understand how things are impacting us,
Yeah.
their husbands, their brothers, their sons as well. Yeah, so
Yes,
it's
we're up on our first break. It's now 5:45 in the afternoon. You're listening to Love 101. The program is The Mailbox. I'm Pastor Courtney Morris along with my co-host Kevin Bailey. And our guest is Mr. Jason Brown. We're talking about men's mental health. We'll be right back after these messages.
Man, yes, strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Need a qualified counseling psychologist to help you navigate life and challenges? Call Andre Allen Casey with over 10 years of experience in resolving relational issues, therapeutic interventions for couples, families, and individuals. Andre Allen Casey, licensed associate counseling psychologist with offices at 20 West Kings House Road, Kingston 10. Open Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Telephone or WhatsApp 876-360-6594 or email AndreAllen_Casey at yahoo.com. Andre Allen Casey, counseling with a difference.
Yummy bulla full of flavor, pineapple, coconut and ginger. Oh, everybody love the yummy old time bulla. Ask them, tell them, all round good vibes, full enough style, the bulla well nice. New coconut flavor done right, just like one time. Yummy bulla with beer or bulla with cheese. No butter pop pie. Yummy bulla full of flavor, pineapple, coconut and ginger. Oh, everybody love the new coconut bulla. Ask them, all round good vibes. Yummy bulla, all round good vibes.
Marshalls Pharmacy, we are inviting you to come out and join our 5th anniversary celebration on Saturday, November 11th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will have fun games and surprises, sponsored booth displays, special discounts on selected items, free blood pressure and blood sugar checks. Stay for your pharmacist consultation. Marshalls Pharmacy appreciates you. So come out with your family and friends for a day of celebration at Pathfinder Plaza, Greater Portmore. See you there.
Love 101 invites you to listen to Encounter, presented by the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, Thursdays at 10 p.m. Every first Thursday, listen for words of upliftment from the Lighthouse Assembly with Bishop Rowan Edwards. Every second Thursday at 10 p.m., listen for a word of encouragement from Burgess Ministries International. That's Women of God in Service with Reverend Dr. Elaine Richards. Every third Thursday, receive words of strength and power from Praise Deliverance Ministry with Senior Pastor Fitzroy Carr. Every fourth Thursday, Reverend Leonie Samuels of the Richmond New Testament Church of God in St. Mary shares words of hope. For fifth Thursdays, it's words of inspiration from the New United Bible Way Church of God with Reverend Dr. Jasmine Brown. That's Encounter, presented by the Jamaica Association of Full Gospel Churches, every Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man.
I am a man. Welcome back to the mailbox. And right just about now, it's 5:49 p.m. in Kingston City. Having a great conversation. Kevin Bailey, Courtney Morrison, and Jason Brown. Before the break, Jason shared openly about the challenges with depression. We know clinical depression or major depressive disorder can really be one of those challenges. And he shared about not wanting to leave his home, loss of interest in pleasurable activities, whether you're oversleeping or you have insomnia, also suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation, some with plan, some without plan, and some people even attempt to take their life. So what we're discussing is really a very serious illness, and the more we talk about it, the better we're able to offer support. Jason, welcome back and thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we continue this, men often don't have a community that provides emotional support. How did you manage? I mean, 6 months without work, predisposing you to a dark place as a man who was independent and earning his own money, now have to be dependent on relatives, even though they wouldn't complain, but just
No.
internally, what you were thinking. How did you get to come out of that, and was support a big part of what helped you?
Oh wow, that's an interesting question because my son's in the comments. Because uh, it happens, when they come around, the face just changes. Because they bring joy to my life.
That's right.
Yes. What I did not say was that in February 2020 I was re-employed. The pandemic happened in 2020, right?
Huh?
So as the last person to come on, I would have been the first person to go.
Boom.
So about a couple months in to the pandemic, I was jobless again. But the thing about it is, it got to a point where, you see, with the whole the issue of mental health and mental wellness, there is a part that can be attributed to your community or to what others can say about you or say of you or say to lift you up. But what I would have learned in my time in that space was your own fortitude, your own strength plays a major part in getting better. So it's almost as though somebody can affirm you every day, Kevin and Courtney. Somebody can tell you all the good things about yourself every day. Persons can provide ways for you and avenues for you and tell you what you need to hear. But it's different when you actually embody that and you start to live it. So, one, I was blessed to have family members who would have cared enough to deposit positively into my life. I would have had friends who cared enough to want to speak to me, not to judge me or to try to understand, but just to listen. Sometimes, and about what you say in a Courtney,
Yes.
sometimes it's just being present and being there. I have had friends and family members who would have sought to help me apply for jobs, fix up my resume. They're there with me. Some of them come and pull me out, take me out of the house sometimes. But it also got to a point where I had to now lean on another person's strength. And that person, is Jesus, because there had to come a time in my state where I had to go to God. I must say, God, big and serious, Jesus, of all the people there. Why me after I go through this? Because I couldn't understand what was happening at the time. So I implored God, and sometimes the conversations were not the best, and sometimes it wasn't the tradition. I wasn't giving him all the titles and oh thee and oh thou and all them something. Sometimes I said, God, I can't deal. Because how am I wearing your name, but yet still I'm exposed to such great testings and depression? And then he helped me to develop the strength to want to try new things. So nobody never there employ me. So what would I have to do? One, I would have sought professional help. I am a proponent of counseling. I don't bash it. If you have to get the help, get the help. I prayed more, but then I started to put my hands to other things. So during the pandemic, my first nephew, David Brown, he would have loved to do things with me in the kitchen. So we start bake 1-2 time. And then realize, we can bake. So I'm start sell cheesecake. So I'm trying to, make something to lift myself out. Then I say, let me just expand a little bit. Do some brownies. It makes sense. After that, now I say, all right, let's try some chocolate chip cookies. Selling. Everywhere I go, persons talking about my beard. So what we're trying to into? I went into months of planning, bought some oils, had a tester group, created my line of beard oil, selling that. And then from those avenues, I was blessed to get into a better place. Because what was happening to me was my journey was for a purpose. I started a YouTube channel Life Lessons with Jason, where I would just go on and openly speak about what I was going through. There was no structure, there was no motive. I just wanted to that was a part of my mental health recovery. I was speaking openly to persons I don't know, but I probably never meet ever in life, about my personal struggles. It sounds crazy, right? But from that, I was blessed to have doors open where I would have gone to entities, international conferences, schools, to speak about these things. So when I open my mouth to speak, as I'm doing here, it's not coming from a fictitious place. I'm speaking because I had the experience. Yeah?
Boy, Jason, so interesting. You know, we're talking to Jason Brown. It's about mental health. It's so interesting that the very thing that was pushing you to another end of the spectrum was the very thing that lifted you out and made you into who you are today. You know, we're often told to speak to those who we trust and who we can confide in, which is excellent.
It is.
And which is really the thing that we should really ascribe to doing. But you are telling us that you spoke to people who you didn't even know, but you just had to get it out. And there are times that I will even tell persons, that guess what? Some of us are trying to find persons that we trust and don't find any. And so everything stays inside.
Yeah.
And usually that becomes a downfall. There are, while I understand that there are perils on either side, we have to weigh the things in the balance. But indeed, it worked for you. Oftentimes when we hear about mental illness, people think about street side madness.
Being mad, insane.
Yeah, help us with that. Did you walk the street at any time? I don't mean to sell your chocolate chip cookies or anything like that, but you know, probably in ragged clothes. I remember helping a friend of mine off the road. Someone who, when I was in high school, was really one of those who I had as an idol, you know, and I saw him walking the road and I took.
Oh, wow.
But at Kingston College, once the KC man, you go help him.
Corey, let's not go there. Let's not do this. Let's not do the school thing. Let's not do the school thing. It's JC over here. But you know, go ahead.
When I'm telling you, as a Kingston College student, regardless of who it is, if you know him, go KC, I go up on the road, go help him. It's not a school thing. It's just
a lot.
You are taught, what we were taught at our school, to be a brother, to help.
Because we will come from
the person
following the talk, right?
I think it's something that all schools need to inculcate. It's not a cultic behavior neither. You know, it's one that helps each other. And
that's right.
And so I want us to recognize, especially for us as men, because it was an all-boys school, especially for us as men, we hardly can find a safe space.
That is true.
To sit and talk. But I will tell you the truth. Up to just 2 weeks ago, when one of our KC brethren died and went to the funeral, we found ourselves sharing all sorts of things with each other, even though we'll probably never see each other for almost 40 years. If we can somehow generate what would seem to be, you know, and I tend to hate to use the word brother sometimes, but I love it because it's in scripture, but not because of what we call lodge. That we as men, as brothers, as those of the same gender, if we want to use that word, can somehow, and I think probably that's part of why I'm part of McGarva and into the men thing, because we hardly can find space and a safe space to talk with each other. I want us to talk a bit more about that on the other side of this break. So we're going to be taking a break. This is the mailbox. We're talking about mental health. It is November. It's about men's health. Jason Brown is our guest. Kevin Bailey is here with me as co-host as well. We'll come right back after these messages.
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man, Planning to sit the May June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, Friday, November 24. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May June CXC exams privately, the registration deadline is November 24th.
Precious Fantasy, we are inviting you to come out and join our 5th anniversary celebration on Saturday, November 11th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. We will have fun games and surprises, sponsored booth displays, special discounts on selected items, free blood pressure and blood sugar check, stay for your pharmacist consultation. Precious Pharmacy appreciates you. So come out with your family and friends for a day of celebration at Pathfinder Plaza, Greater Portmore. See you there.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the telephone counseling and prayer ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man.
Welcome back to the Mailbox. Aired every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Actually, now 2 minutes after 6 in this amazing Kingston City. We have Jason Brown, our very quintessential guest, and Courtney Morrison, co-host. Jason, so many questions. We'll talk about social norms and expectations that men are pressured, to be strong and stoic and independent. And what does this do? Because you lived it, right? What does this do when you find yourself in clinical depression or in a dark place? What happens to your thoughts? And then how did you get to come out of those distortional ways of thinking that made you feel hopeless and worthless to a place where, wow, the amazing things you're doing now, but help us to kind of understand what happened.
All right, let's try to unpack. But firstly, shout out to my staff. I see Auntie Opal, Auntie Karine. I see you in the chat. Wow. Also supportive. Thank you. It goes back to what Courtney said before the break. We tend to view mental illnesses as being mad, insane. So if you're clothed and looking normal, seemingly operating your 9 to 5 or whatever your business is, going to church, going to school, going to work, you cannot be seen as having mental challenges because why? You're clothed. You're not on the street. You're not eating from the garbage bin. But you have so many persons who are battling these issues silently, and it is spilling over into other things such as their health and their happiness, and even just the healthy operation of their mind. Now, I think as a culture, we have been so socialized that the men are to, be strong, to provide, to not show emotions, to not cry. We can go as far as probably being beaten as a child, as a boy. You're being beaten, so you're feeling pain.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel pain as a child, your inclination is to cry. Mm-hmm. You're doing what you're supposed to do, but then you're being told, what you cry for? You want me to give you something for cry for? I'm like, you are giving them something to cry for. And it and it is these things
Yeah.
that tends to travel with us as we're older. Yes, it's the simple thing as from your child is young, whether it is a boy or a girl, it's allowing them the space to actively say what is troubling them and then to gain understanding and to cultivate a habit of speaking out. And that is why, if we see by the trajectory or if we see by the rates, we see where you have more men committing suicide as opposed to women. You probably have more attempts by women, but then they are more open to speaking, to getting help, to verbalizing. And where is that coming from? Because when they were younger, they were encouraged to speak up. They were encouraged to have a voice, while the man was just trained to allow the female to have the voice. Because as a man, how dare you have problems, Courtney and Kevin? How dare you? How dare something troubles you to the point of you feeling heartbroken? And how many men feel comfortable to express, even to explain, or to even say, you know? So it's a case where for men, we have been so enclosed in the societal norm to the point where it's to our own detriment. And then we're still trying to fit the bill, because if you operate outside of that scope, you're not a man. Something do you. You're too emotional. But God made us as humans with like emotions and feelings. So if God creates us to shed a tear whenever we feel hurt,
Yes.
because it is innate,
Of course.
Some Kevin and Courtney, some things happen to you.
Yeah.
You don't know where the tears come from. It just come. So why are you supposed to be made to feel guilty for expressing a natural emotion that God designed? Yeah. So I think it goes back to one, the way we were brought up, and two, men not having an avenue or Courtney as a community, because we're not so all blessed to attend KZ. So not everyone has that community or that or that encouraging for us to be vulnerable enough to say what is bothering us. And I'm a victim of the truth isn't that my parents did not infringe that on me. In my house, I always had the opportunity to speak. I always had opportunity to say things. My parents never yet allowed me to feel inferior or wrong for expressing my emotions. Granted, if I expressed in a disrespectful manner, then I was this as a child, I was deserving of punishment. Yeah. So luckily, I had parents who would have been so great at doing that. God bless them, because I know our persons are not gifted to have that. So I give thanks to my parents every day in that regard. But a lot of persons don't have that. And as a society, I think now in 2023, we're getting to a place where we're seeing more men speaking out
Yeah.
and we're seeing more men relating, which is great because we have to break the stereotype.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of us, when the men get older, they get so afraid and they battle so many illnesses. Why? Because they have the wrong coping mechanisms. They probably pick up smoking. They probably pick up promiscuity that leads to probably STIs and other infections. They engender and they cultivate the bad feelings that probably leads to stress or your organs breaking down or diabetes. All it heightens those things. So it's a case now where it is now manifesting from in your mind to your physical self. Because what persons don't understand is an unhealthy mind will not lead to a healthy body.
Amen.
And we have to cater to the holistic man. So what we mean is take care of yourself. I mean spiritually you're good, mentally you're good, physically you're good. Or if you're not there, you're in the stages of getting there. So I think there is some correction to be done. Yes, we want more men to express. Yes, we want more men to speak up. But we also have to understand that from the women's perspective, they have to be open to the changing man as well. Just as how we are to be accepting of them being more independent. So less stay-at-home moms. Yes, we encourage them. Yeah, man, go be the CEO, go be the boss, make your money. We love to see it because we love independent women. And I know so many of them love them bad. But as how they want that acceptance, there should also be acceptance for the man to express, to get better. Maybe then we'll find the crime rate going down. Maybe then we have more persons coming to Christ. Maybe then we'll have more wholesome homes where children become the product of a healthy household and they don't leave into adulthood being scarred. Yeah? I feel like I'm talking too much.
Uh,
No, man. Kevin,
yeah, yeah.
man, tears are coming to my eyes. I mean, I can't take off the glasses, me gonna see. Why am I for say this in another colloquial? You have expressed the thing in such a way that all men and women of this nation and globally needs to hear.
Yes.
You know, even the bringing it together, where you said women also needs to be also accepting of our men, just as we are accepting of them becoming the CEOs and stuff.
Yes, you're
That
corny. Well, we
the
have a lot of
narrative
women. Yeah.
has changed and is changing. And as such, we must recognize that when a man expresses some feelings, don't tell him say I'm up in them feelings or I'm getting in touch with them feminine side. Emotions are human things, not a
Yes.
gender-based
Yes.
quality or characteristic of who we are.
So I
Brethren, I
don't
can't believe you
understand
at
it. So
church.
when
I feel like you're a guru, some old age that have gone through all of this, but it's your experience that have brought you here.
yes,
People, we couldn't pay for that information if it was something we went to a
my God.
session in. Kev,
God.
no, you're the clinical psychologist. Stop here, man. Make me I get
No,
emotional.
no. This is what the program is about. You know, the mailbox, a safe space, and being open and honest, making himself vulnerable, which is modeling the kind of behaviors that we want our men to ascribe
Sir.
for. Tell us, Jason, as a Christian, because this is something that many Christian men
Mm-hmm.
um, don't know how to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a Christian. I'm not supposed to
Kev?
have certain. Yes. Yes, Courtney. You can hear me?
I'm hearing you.
Okay,
It
right.
sounded as if we had lost it for a bit. I don't know if it's my end or what's
Okay,
that.
maybe it's your end, Courtney. But
Go ahead.
we're
It seems to be
here.
mine.
Okay. Yes, Jason. So many men who are Christians and specifically Christians, they battle, I am a Christian, I am filled with the Holy Spirit, I am supposed to be fine. So how can I have mental challenges and to go into a place of deep depression where there is
God.
a feeling of worthlessness and some persons even with suicidal ideation. But talk to us about that. How do you navigate that? How do you make sense of that?
Boy, Kevin, I think that's the hardest part. Because for persons listening, newsflash, you being a Christian does not guarantee you a smoother life or a different path. I think being a Christian makes it's in the end, it is way more rewarding. Way more rewarding. But in the present, it takes so much more to walk right, to do right, and to be in a right place. Why? Because when you're called and you're separated, every day is an active trial of doing what you're supposed to do and not what you're not supposed to do. And by the face value of it, the world seems so attractive. It seems very attractive. And the ways of the world seems more compelling. But I think, and it's funny you mentioned church a while ago because I'm seeing in the comments my church family, they're online as well. I give God thanks for them because at my church, Bethel Stony Hill, we pride ourselves on being a family church. So we do have these talks, we do have these sessions, and we do have a catering to both areas of membership. Yeah. So it's a case where we have groups. So we have like the young persons in my church, we are very connected. So we have the forum where we can speak about our issues, It's not just giving them a Bible verse or praying for them, but understanding that they're going through real things. Yes, the prayer is great. Yes, the Bible scriptures are good, but we're meeting them at a human level. So I think as men, as Christians, and sometimes God, I was saying to my friends the other day, God has a way of operating, He is a very complex man. I'm gonna tell him sometimes, God, I'm gonna get you, I'm really not, I'm not understand it sometimes because I'm not telling you. No,
I thought I
I'm
was the
being
only one who
honest
told him that.
because God knows your point A and your point B. And for persons, the frustration morally comes between the point A and the point B. Why? Because he will tell you where to start, but he not necessarily tell you where I go finish. Or God wants you to go from Stony Hill to Content Spring. Him not gonna say, Jason, go up on a bus and go to Content Spring. Gonna be like, Jason, okay, walk to the square, from the square, cross the road, stay there for 10 days, go to the bus, to Half a Tree, jump on the Half a Tree bus. All right, come on, bottom of the hill. After you come off of the hill, walk to Content Spring. As in, there's an easy way to get there, but at every step, there's an appreciation or something to be learned. Yeah, I listen there. So I think as Christians, it's that we want what the world has in terms of material wise, and that is not in the will of God for us. So the frustration leads us to a different space. But what happened for me is I had to take away my selfish will. So me have to just take out the list of things I want God to do for Jason or what I feel like Jason should be and accept what God is saying that Jason is supposed to be. And then that is where life started to make sense to me. So the submission, the letting go of, the accepting his will, it sounds good. And the truth is, it is good.
Let's just
Because
stick a
that
pin
is
right
when
there.
your life
We're
starts
up
to
on
make
we're up
sense.
on our final break. Submission. Hey,
Yes.
Elijah himself suffered from clinical depression, it would seem, and
And
wanted
he was
to
a powerful,
die.
he was a powerful man in the
But
Bible. Powerful.
And Elijah was a very mighty man of God, I would believe. We take our final break on this mailbox. We come right back. Our guest is Jason Brown. With me is Kevin Bailey. We co-host the program. Come back after these messages. Soon come.
I am a man, Grace sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody
Grace
sell it.
sardines follow the better flavor.
The time is
17 minutes after 6 in Kingston.
Grace sardine, better flavor. Grace sardine for the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop on supermarkets, everybody sell it. You all of them nice. Pass the back, make push it.
Grace sardines follow the better flavor.
Did you know that the flu can lead to hospitalization and even death? Pregnant women, persons 60 years and older, babies and children, and persons with a chronic illness such as diabetes, asthma, or heart disease are at a high risk for complications from the flu. Get the flu vaccine today. Visit your nearest health center and ask to be vaccinated. The flu is no joke.
a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness with support from USAID and PAHO.
I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man, yes. Strong man.
Welcome back to the mailbox. This is Love 101, the family station, serving you for the last 30 years. And we will continue to do so for more than 30 years to come. With me is Kevin Bailey, co-host, and Jason Brown, our guest. It is November, Men's Health, and in particular, in specifics, we're speaking today on men's mental health. We have been having an interesting, empowering, uplifting, encouraging discussion with Mr. Jason Brown. I almost said PhD. Indeed, he has just really spoken into so many situations, and we are into our final segment Before we went for the break, we were talking about church, and he spoke about his church youngsters being so connected. They not only share the Bible verse, but they speak about it. Church as a medium, as a mediator, as a facilitator for helping with men's mental health. How important is this? Can the church give support? Can the men of the church, which seem to be so few in numbers, how can we what's happening in our church with our men?
Yes, Jason, I think we probably having just a little
Yeah. But I
disconnection
think
before.
I think I understand what he's
Right.
trying to say.
Sure.
All right, so I think from the church standpoint, yes, we see a lower number than the women in our churches, but that does not take away from the impact. One, we view church as a hospital, so persons with varying issues from life to work to personal to mental, it's all embodied in the church, and we are a hub that facilitates the healing of that, because the church is a fulsome ministry. It's not just for the preaching, but for the teaching, the edification, and the well-being of the sheep. Yeah. So look, in my church, we do have a family life ministry that has targeted activities for different
What's
groups,
the name
different
of your
ages.
church, if you don't mind us
It
asking?
is it is the Bethel United Church of Jesus Christ Apostolic in Stony Hill. Yes, pastored by the or presiding bishop Devon C. Brown and First Lady Brown, my parents.
That's
Uh, so I think
excellent.
it is imperative for the men, one, to have more of a presence and speak up in the spiritual, as in the church community. But I think it's also incumbent on the churches to make an impact in their areas. We have so many churches in Jamaica. Can you imagine if all of these churches have a specific community drive, even if it's in the month of October, to target the men and to speak to them on their level, whether it be through games night or sessions or whatever it is, just to connect, to show them that, you probably don't see it happening in your home, but we do have men here who care and who are open to verbalizing and expressing what they are going through in hopes of getting better. Because all of this, Kevin and Courtney, is to get to a better place.
Of
It
course.
is all aimed at getting to a better place so that we can be better husbands, better friends, better stewards of Christ, better citizens of Jamaica. Because everything, once you start to get better in yourself, it then spirals into you being a better being. So the call is, let us not, as churches, let us not be reactive. Let us be proactive. Let us not jump on the train as corporate Jamaica in doing these things, but let us lead them into wanting to partner with us to do these things. Because, yeah, we have a social responsibility as the church to affect our community. And it's addressing the issues that we face. And right now, mental health is a huge issue that's affecting as young as first form. Courtney, and the pandemic has done so much to our mental state. You see, Courtney and Kevin, it leads to ask how long it would take for us to get to a level of mental normalcy. But if we stay committed to that, we can do it. If we understand that this change is for the betterment of the body and for that perfect man that God is trying to groom, then we're walking in purpose.
Thank you so much. Here and there, Jason Brown having this conversation. How do we get to improve on a great place, which I think where there's a destigmatization, as it were, of
Mhm.
mental health. We're having more open conversations. However, we still have a far way to go.
Yes.
How do we go forward and build on these and talk about what is the church, the community, the country?
Mhm.
Just somewhere you sit, having that personal experience.
Yep.
Jason, what else would you like to see happening
I
personally?
would like to see an injection of more male presence in these discussions.
Mm,
And I'm not talking about November alone. I have seen a lot of mental health forums throughout the year, predominantly being led by women, which is fine. But
mm,
if we want to balance the scale and attract men, we have to have more men doing these things and more men speaking up to make a difference. Not just on, and the thing about me and my purpose, Kevin and Courtney, is not a mass thing, you know. If I can impact one person, that is a change. So it's having presence in your homes, in your workplaces, in your communities, in your social spaces. And there has to be a call for men to want to step up. Because you have men who go through it and they're better right now and them a hold it. I'm not say you must go tell your business. But even if it's to say how you got from X to Z with help from someone, if it's even to put someone on to where they can go to seek the help. I would love to see more men infiltrating these spaces and being purposeful in these spaces, from hosting to participating to supporting. And then we will start to see the difference, a greater difference taking place. And kudos to Love
Excellent.
for always doing this. Love is always doing this. I have to say kudos to Love because Love is leading from a Christian standpoint. And we love that.
Thank you very much, Jason. You know, I need to take my hat off to a gentleman right now, as you just said that. His name is Jim Monroe. Kevin would know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Those who continues to help in that road and down that road. Find a way to network and to tell persons about some persons who can help, organizations that can help, family life ministries, you know. And I think some of these organizations need to also do some home visits, you know, if they're already doing fine. If not, because, you know, persons can't always come, and sometimes we command that Jesus give us, go, especially as Christians, to go. So I'm happy that some things are changing. I'm happy that men are opening up further and further, and that we are seeing them as emotional beings and not just as logic thinkers. You know, it's about time. We have one final thing to say. What message would you want anyone to take away from today's session here on the mailbox about men's mental health? Anything in the next minute and a half that you'd like for all of Jamaica to know, either a synopsis on what you have said or just for our men to be able to become persons of strength in the area of mental health?
So I would say view men as humans. So we're subject to like feelings, like emotions, and we do go through things. And be supportive of the move of men to want to get better, not just with earning more salary or accumulating wealth and possessions, but bettering themselves. So be supportive, be that opening, be that shoulder, be that safe space for them to actively express and help them along their trajectory to get better. When it comes on to from boys at an early age, allow them to speak up, you know, lead them in the right path. Talk to them. How was school today? Did anything happen? What's bothering you? How do you feel about that? Culture them from an early age to want to speak up, and let us sometimes focus on the positives. So yes, we want to correct the bad behaviors, but tell them the good things about themselves. You have so many persons growing up hearing all the negatives and never one good.
Yeah.
So yes, you want to correct the bad behaviors, but tell them the good. Empower them, speak up to them, and if they need help, help them to get that help. Yeah? And we start with correcting now. Get yourself better, help others to get better, and we will all get better.
Somebody would say, word.
Yes. What a great way to end the program. You know, we want to say, well, we say thanks to you, Sir Jason Brown, for spending the time and sharing so magnificently with us. I'm sure we'll all remember today. We're saying thanks to Trishan S. Bryan, our producer, to Daniel Downs, and indeed you, our listeners, for being here. We end the show with this quote: "What mental health need is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation." Glenn Close said it.
That was what we're having, unashamed conversation. Thank you so much, Jason. Once again, this was the program designed for men with guests who are men. And this is where We challenge, encourage, and empower our men to become all they were created to become.
Catch you next week. Same place, same time. Monday. This was the mailbox.
I am a man, yes. Strong man. Integrity.